Hello friends, my name is Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. We're gonna try this again. I just had to update everything. I had to update OBS, Stream Deck, Canon, Glip Glop, I don't know. I had to update all the things for some reason. There's like a 3-second long live stream from before this one that I actually need to go in and, and delete, which I'm gonna do right now. Chat! How are you? Right, 9 was first. Well, not first, but first, the second time. After the first time, second time. Bulldog FPV, another trucking FPV channel. Michael D, Kevin Sumner, Mr. Blue Sky, Danzilla the Terrible PJ. Jesse Garcia, Ed K, Danzilla the Terrible again. Charles Marseille, Zotek, Ed K, Frank Nicholas, Mr. Huggy. Casey Henderson. I think I got everybody. What's up, friends? I'm not having a great mental health day on top of what just happened, so have low expectations for this one. I'm getting that previous stream deleted here real quick, and more actions, delete forever. I understand that this cannot be undone. Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't sleep last night. I'm running on like 1 hour of sleep. And, some days you're just like this. Mental illness can suck a big bag of dicks. We have had a Tinywhoop thrust stand all along. All this back and forth about, it was a good, there were some good discussions, but all this back and forth about the number of winds per stator pole and the thickness of the copper. Yeah. What we did find out is that the motor manufacturers, they don't want to give that info. Zotek was able to pin one of the motor manufacturers down and be like, yo, we need to know the number of winds and the thickness of the copper. And they said, nah, that's a trade secret, bro. Which, oh man, the thumbnail's wrong. Why is the thumbnail wrong? And fair enough. I mean, yeah, they're allowed to not give that spec. I get it. But even with that info, so I've spent a bunch of time talking to Ryan Harrell over the last like couple of weeks about all this. Ryan Harrell is who runs Mini Quad Test Bench. He is the person in FPV that knows more about motors and ESCs than probably everybody else combined. A good amount of what Ryan says just but I ask him to clarify some stuff, but like I can't ask him to clarify everything. So I you know, he's extremely generous with his time, and I consider him a friend. I assume that he considers me a friend. I don't see why he wouldn't. But yeah, I don't want to be that friend that's just me. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I don't I don't ask him to explain everything. I ask him to explain the things that I think I have some hope in hell of of actually understanding, which is more than most. So yeah, but in talking to him about this, so Ryan is who originally explained the relationship of winds per stator pole versus the volume of copper versus the thickness of the copper and all that. He explained that to me eons ago, and I've always known it. And then with these tiny, with the bigger motors, with 5-inch motors, like, you don't really have to think too much about it because they've just been developed so much that we're sort of past that point. and they kind of all make ass loads of power anyway. With micro motors, 3-inch, 2.5-inch, 3.5-inch, we don't, other than 1404, we don't really have like multiple motors available. Like we have one 1505, we had one 1504, we have one 1306. So it doesn't really matter there. It popped back up recently now that we're starting to get a whole bunch of different Tinywhoop motors in different KVs, and we get like very strange feedback from people of like, no, the 26,000 kV is the best. No, the 28,000 kV is the best. No, the 30,000 kV is the best, right? And in most cases, it's all about like how much power you want. Like we talk a lot about it on here, that you want the minimum amount of power possible. You're going to get better throttle resolution. The less power, the better the throttle resolution, the better the runtime. When it comes to, so for racing, that's a whole thing. For Tinywhoop Freestyle, though, we don't have enough power yet. Maybe we do. Maybe we finally do with these 28,500 and 30,000 kV motors. Maybe they finally do have enough power. Below that number, though, it's not enough. 26,000 kV 0702s, they were not enough. I think maybe these 30,000, 28,500 kV 0702s are enough in terms of power to weight ratio, because so those are 0702s. The 0802 30,000 kV motors, for me, and I'm like a power junkie when it comes to these things, it's too much. It's actually too much power. If you were flying in like a warehouse or our living room here has like, I don't actually know how high the ceilings are, but they're at least 15 feet. They might be 20 feet. And that's pretty goddamn high. So like unless you live in a full tilt mansion with like 30-foot high ceilings, I don't think you need more than 30,000 kV 0702s. The problem with the 0802s is they're heavier too, so that makes the rig significantly harder to fly. But the question remains, and we've talked a lot about it recently, which is the best motor. And the best motor, there is no best motor, there are just different motors. The best motor is a very individualized thing for each one of you. So always keep all that in mind. But, we've spent a lot of time trying to kind of make sure that as we go up in KV, we're not losing torque. And in talking to Ryan a lot about motors over the past couple of weeks, the number of winds is the biggest, has the biggest effect on KV. But that's not it. Like, there are other things that are involved in it. And then by the same token, the amount of copper in the stator poles, which is a combination of the number of winds with the thickness of the copper, the copper being the winding material that goes around each stator pole, that has the biggest impact on the amount of power or torque that the motor makes. But again, it's not the whole story. The air gap, the gap between the magnet and the stator pole, has an effect. The magnets themselves have a big effect. And here's something that'll bend your brain. The less powerful the magnets, the higher the KV. In some cases with these outboard motors, in order to get to a higher KV, they have to reduce the strength of the magnets. So yeah, and you can test that by, if you have two identical motors, you take the lower KV bell off and you put it on the higher KV motor and you see if it performs differently on the thrust stand. And there's a bunch of other things that can affect this, and that can affect the power and the RPM of the motor. So even if this motor manufacturer that that Zotac from WeBleedFPV was finally able to kind of pin down and get them to give an answer to, the question being, how many lines and what's the thickness of your copper? Even though they said, F off, we're not going to give you that info, it's trade secret stuff. Even if they'd given us that info, kind of wouldn't have mattered. Because, yes, those two things have the biggest impact, which is probably why they don't want to say. But that's not it. Like that's not it. There's more to the story. So, yeah. All that being said, all I've been trying to figure out is how much power each of these motors makes. Who is your daddy and what does he do? And a long time ago, back in the days of brushed whoops, I realized that on my stupid little scale here, I could flip this piece upside down, and I could put the whoop upside down, and then I could arm it and go full throttle and just look at the number. And the number is telling me, it's not perfect, but the number is telling me roughly how many grams of thrust it's making, because the whoop is upside down and it's pushing itself into the scale. Well, now it's even easier because we've got turtle mode. So now we just put our little fucking scale, we put the whoop on there, and we just turtle mode. And what's even cooler about that is we can put 4 different propellers on, or 4 different motors on, and turtle mode 1, 2, 3, 4. The problem with that is, if one of the ESC channels is starting to shit the bed, it's not going to give you an accurate representation. So you have to get a control. You have to take your rig with same set of motors, same set of propellers, and you got to spin each one up, and you got to look at the number. The other problem is the battery's going to sag. So we're going to play with all this tonight, and see if we can get some repeatable numbers off of the scale. And I'm going to rely on you guys to rewind. And so I'm going to put the scale on the bench cam here. I'm going to put the scale down here on the bench cam. And you guys are going to... I can't see it. It is now upside down for me. So I need a couple of volunteers to rewind the video, to rewind the stream. So I'm going to be changing motors, I'm going to be changing propellers, so after we wind each one up, there's going to be a gap of just nothingness. So you're not going to miss much. What I need is some volunteers to rewind and then go to like half speed or even quarter speed. Because the scale numbers, the numbers on the scale update pretty quickly, and I think what we're going to see is, we're going to see a big number, and then it's going to trail off real quick. So we need to kind of figure out how quickly it's going to trail off. I'm hoping that we can take that biggest number. We can learn a lot from this. One of the things that we can learn from this is how quickly these motors saturate. This is one of the things I'm most interested in. I have a rig here with 0802 30,000 kV motors on the big, these are not the EX, these are the full can 0802s. Nice big bell to cool down the motor, to hopefully keep the motor cool. 0802 30,000 kV, I've also got an 0702 30,000 kV. I have a feeling that the 0702 30,000 kV motor saturates pretty quick. I'm going to need a couple of volunteers. I don't want everybody to do this though, but I think we're going to be able to see that, because I think when we fire this one up, when you guys go back, I think what we're going to see with the 0702s is that it hits a big number and it quickly dumps. And then with the 0802s, I think what we're going to see is it's going to hit a big number and it's going to much less slowly drop. Or this is gonna, the 0802s are gonna hammer the battery so hard that the battery is gonna sag. There's all kinds of stuff that I'm kind of interested in seeing what happens here. The 0702s are definitely gonna be less abusive on the battery. We're also gonna be able to swap propellers, and we're gonna be able to take a look at how much propeller we have to throw at these motors to full-blown overprop them. You can when you've overpropped a motor, it will actually make less power. I think it'll make less power because it'll sort of instantly saturate, and it won't be able to turn that more draggy, more bladed propeller up. We're gonna get to see that. The 702s are almost definitely overpropped on a 3-blade, and I can't imagine a world where they are not completely overpropped on a 4-blade. So when we fire this thing up with 3 and 4 blades, I'm really interested to see. On one hand, I kind of feel like maybe the 2, the 3, and the 4 blade will make the same amount of power, because the motor will just push as hard as it possibly can, and that is where the majority of the thrust comes from, right? The thrust doesn't, I mean, the propeller is just there to push the air. The motor is what's making the actual power, and that power is the thrust, right? So I'm really interested to see that. Here's another thing. I know you guys all have your little scales. I want to try to find a scale with the quickest possible PID loop rate, cycle time, refresh time. So when you guys are watching me do these thrust stand things, do me a favor, get your scales out, and I'm gonna show you. So we talk about like 4K and 8K PID loop rates. That's 4,000 times a second and 8,000 times a second. This scale, I mean, it's pretty quick. See how quickly the numbers change? I want to try, if your scale changes faster than this one, I want to know what it is. This is pretty damn fast. But if somebody is watching the stream back on, I don't think this is 30 per second. And whoever's watching the stream back in like half speed and quarter speed, they're definitely going to be able to tell. So yeah, I'm looking for a scale that has the fastest possible refresh rate. Not really response time, EdK, but yeah, it's not. Response time isn't the right word, but it doesn't matter. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about, right? I want as much data as possible, because what I want to see is, the person that's going to rewatch this, are there any Excel nerds out there that want sample rate? That's it. Thanks, Tinsela. Are there any Excel nerds out there that want to be the ones that rewind and can we dump it into an Excel spreadsheet and make a, right? Because that would be even more amazing, because then we can specifically see so here's what I think we're going to see. The 07, I have to do this backwards for you guys. I think what I'm going to see is the 0702 rockets up, and then it really falls off quick. And then I think the 0802, this is in terms of the motor bell saturating. When the motor bell saturates with heat, the magnets don't work as good. So if that's the only thing that's happening, the 0702 is going to go up, and then it's going to fall off fast. The 0802 is going to go up, and it's going to fall off slower. But is the battery going to sag? Is the question. I wish that my first thought was to do all of this with Betaflight opened in the motors tab, but in order to do that, this guy has to be plugged in. Technically speaking, I guess I could get some sort of a the Bluetooth Speedy Bee thing, but no, we're not doing that. We're just going to use turtle mode. Because the motor tab, I don't think the motor tab is going to give us the amp readings either. I wish turtle mode would give you amp readings. No, we're not putting it upside down, Danzil. That's what I did way long ago. We're putting it right side up and we're using turtle mode, and that'll fire up individual motors. Hey, did somebody say that turtle mode doesn't output full stank? Is there, hold on. Let me plug it into to Betaflight and go into the CLI and type turtle and see if anything comes up. See if there's any turtle mode setting that doesn't fire their motors up to 100%. Let's see. This is one of the great things about the newer versions of Betaflight. So see, I typed turtle and it's not auto-suggesting anything. And also I click input. What else do they call it? Flip over after crash. So type flip. Nope, unknown command. Well, crash is going to give us... Oh, shit, we have to type get. Oh, look at this. Crash flip. Here, I think this is it. Crash flip motor percent. Get 0. Hold on. Get flip. Crash flip motor percent 0. Crash flip expo 35. Ooh, that's pretty cool. You ever notice how like the throttle throw on turtle mode is like pretty violent? You could change the expo. That's pretty neat. OSD warn crash flip on. OSD flip arrow position 234. So crash flip motor percent is set to 0. All right, so the first test we're gonna do is we're just gonna do this as an audible test. We're just gonna listen to how high the motors spin up with this crash flip motor percent at 0, and then I'm gonna put it to 100. So let's do this first, because we need to figure out how to allow turtle mode to crank these motors all the way up. So right now it's set to 0, and let's give a listen. And this is going to be a very interactive stream tonight. In chat, so this is set to 0. Once I do it at 100 in chat, where you got to put your vote in of whether or not it's ramping them up higher or lower. Turtle mode is on. Here we go. Ooh, wow, that left front is hurting. All right, so that was all 4 motors. Put it back in there.
Telemetry lost.
Is that too loud for you guys? Do you need me to hold it farther away from the mic? All right, we're going back in.
Telemetry recovered.
Get flip. And we're going to highlight this line here. Copy it. And we're going to type set. Paste it. 100. Sounds like a dentist drill, yeah. I mean, that's what it sounds like here as well. All right, so let's see.
Telemetry lost.
Is it going to ramp up higher or lower? This is not a guessing thing. This is a I'm about to do it, and then you tell me if you think it sounds higher or lower. All righty. Well, that's weird. Now it's not spinning up individual motors. It's spinning up 2 motors at a time. It seems to be spinning them up the same amount. That's weird. It sounds like it's I assume that it sounds higher through the mic because it's spinning 2 motors at a time instead of just 1. To me here, it doesn't sound like it's spinning them up any higher. That's weird. Why would it spin 2 up at a... Why would that setting make it spin 2 motors up at a time? Crash flip motor percent. Let's do this. let's copy this, and then we're gonna go on the internet where everything goes to die. Betaflip, great. All right, so we're gonna search for crash flip underscore motor underscore percent Betaflight, and then we're gonna take a quick look at a couple of search results here and see if we can figure out what that setting does. All right, hold on. I'm gonna set it back to 100 because I don't want it to just fire up 2 motors at a time. So we're gonna do set crash flip motor percent equals 0. And we're gonna save, and I'm gonna get this thing unplugged because man, these ELRS, yeah, you always get hot. Okay, when flip over after crashing, pitch opposite side. Sometimes, especially with whoop size quad, there's another thing you might want to set. Crash flip motor. This will enable the motors on the opposite side to spin in the other direction to give you additional help in flipping. Okay, all right. So yeah, crash flip motor percent. The name sounds like it would be what we would want, but it is absolutely not. We want this to be zeroed out because our rigs have any. That's interesting though. That's an interesting little thing. So there you go. If your quad, any quad does not have enough power to turtle mode over, you can increase this, and yeah, that's pretty slick. All right. So it doesn't. All right. So let's do this test. Okay. I know how to tell if turtle mode gives us full power. Sorta. We got to just listen again. I'm going to go full throttle, regular, with all 4 motors, and then I'm going to flip turtle mode on, and we're going to, it should sound roughly the same. Turtle mode is only going to fire 1 motor at a time, but let's just see if this works. Come on, arm. Come on. Arm, buddy. There we go. Ready? Hold on. All right, there's that. Okay, so turtle mode actually fires the motors harder because it's only firing 1 motor at a time. It's a lot harder. I'm pretty sure that turtle mode goes up is firing these things at 100%. When we start to do this testing, we'll know. Denzel the Turtle says, why don't you reverse the props and have it pushed down on the scale? Because turtle mode does that for us. And if we did this by arming the quad and using the throttle, the PID loop is involved in the mix, and the PID loop is not going to fire. The PID loop is going to cripple all the other motors to the lowest performing motor and ESC channel, and that's not what we want. Turtle mode is going to be much more accurate because it's just the turtle mode does not have a PID loop involved. It just goes, I think, to 100%. As we start doing this testing, if turtle mode does not go to 100%, I think we'll notice it because, like, turtle mode goes to 100%. Why would they make turtle mode not go to 100%? There's just no reason. Momo Slappy says motor tab to 100 no loop. With using the motor tab, I talked about this a little bit ago. I would have to have a USB cable plugged into the quad, and that would make it impossible for me to then put the quad on the scale with any amount of accuracy. It wouldn't sit flat. And also it would ruin the results. So, but we can test. Let's do that same test we just did, but in the motor tab, we'll go up to 100% with just 1 motor, and then I'll pull the plug, and then we'll go to turtle mode, and we're just gonna listen. We're gonna listen, and it should sound the same. That might have been what Danzilla was, or whoever just said that in the chat was. I know I'm missing chat comments, but I'm on a roll. I'll get caught up in a minute. All right, battery is on. Just listen for the pitch. It's usually pretty easy to tell if a motor is a little weak. So we're gonna do motor 1. I think that was the motor that was the highest pitch. Ready? I can already tell. Turtle mode goes to 100%. All right. And then throttle mode. It is going to sound a little different because now it's going to spin the prop backwards, but wah, wah. It's the same. If anything, throttle mode spins it harder. That was a little bit higher pitched. Cool. Everybody still with me? Everybody convinced that turtle mode spins these props up full beans? We also don't care. So someone out there is thinking, well, you're going to need to flip the props upside down if you use turtle mode. Not true. I don't care about the numbers. This scale is not any kind of a special accurate scale. We don't care about what the number is. We care about the differential. So if this scale is off by 10 grams, it doesn't really matter because it's going to read 10 grams high for this rig, and then it's going to read 10 grams high for this rig. So the props being on upside down or backwards won't matter. Yes, it's going to make slightly less power with the props being upside down, but that doesn't matter. The motor is what we're testing here, and this prop is going to be upside down, and this prop is also going to be upside. We're going to test all of these props upside down. At some point, I'll probably pop a prop off and flip it upside down, and we'll see. We'll see the difference between right side up and upside down. But yeah, cool. Everybody still with me? Let me get caught up on chat. Frank Nicholas dropped a link to see, hey, this is my full-time job. If you like this kind of stuff, head on over to CiottiFPV.com. Somebody joined the Patreon tonight. We got a streak going for the last couple of weeks. Patreon is unbelievably, even though we've had one new patron every single live stream for the last couple of weeks, the Patreon is still shrinking. There are more people leaving than there are joining. So it's actually really important for me to continue to beg for a new patron every live stream. So yeah, $3 a month, it's 10 cents a day to get in on the general tier. This coming Monday is a giveaway stream, so now's a good time to either hop up to the $5, $10, $20 tiers, or if you're going to join tonight and you want to get in on Monday's giveaways, the $5 tier gets you in for Tinywhoop and toothpick parts. The $10 a month tier gets you in for Tinywhoop and 3-inch micro brushless parts. The $20 tier gets you in for 5-inch parts. Cool. There's a bunch of affiliate links over there. There's an Etsy store. Just go click all the buttons, and I'll keep doing this, and you can keep enjoying. Ed K says, and there's the gangly woohoo, good work. Thank you, brother. Denzo the Terrible says, how's the family COVID doing? Everyone all better? Yep, everybody's pretty much back to normal, thank God. Ed K says, big hugs, anything there, man. Thank you, brother. Casey Anderson says, what makes a whoop wobble when accelerating up and down quickly? Typically not enough power, Casey. The biggest problem with Tinywhoops is not enough power, and they're ducted. So the ducts create all kinds of air turbulence. So in any direction that these things are moving around, it's a really weird aerodynamic situation. And the best way that quads have to fix shitty aerodynamic situations is power. With power, they can force themselves to stay locked in. With not enough power, the bad aerodynamic situation is going to make it wobble, and it's not going to have enough oomph to flatten itself back out. All of the PID loops run at either 4,000 or 8,000 times a second. So the PID loops are all running plenty fast on all of our rigs to stabilize. We're not getting 4,000 time per second wobbles. If we were, you wouldn't be able to see them. The wobbles that we're seeing are typically in like the 100 hertz range. Hertz is per second, so roughly 100 wobbles per second. Sometimes quite a bit less than that, down into like 30 and 40 wobbles per second. So the PID loop is more than fast enough to detect those wobbles and try to fight against the wobbles, but you have to have a motor and propeller and battery combo that has enough power that when the aerodynamics make it drop like this, that this motor can fight against that. So yeah, typically it's a lack of power. With a Tinywhoop. With bigger rigs, they usually have enough power, so you got to look at other stuff. The response time might be too slow. There's a whole bunch of other things it might be. But with Tinywhoops, 9 times out of 10, it's a lack of power. Michael D says PayPal. Australia Post? What's coming from Australia? One of you crazy upside down people sending me something. Michael D with a $40 PayPal. Thank you so much, brother. He says the fund will look better at $350. Deal. This is now a new version of OBS. I'm ever so slightly freaked out. Ooh, it's kind of nice. It's got some things. Look at this. Look at this. This is fancy. Okay. Well, it won't show me now. It had these fancy things on it. See it? Nope, you can't see it. When I switch, look real quick, you can see it. See it? Can you see the red? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Damn, Michael D, thank you so much, brother. The fund charges right along. Kiz Bartlett says, sound like you need a clam man. Pick me up.
諦めんなよ。諦めんなお前。どうしてそこでやめるんだそこで。もう少し頑張ってみろよ。ダメ目諦めたら周りのことを思えよ。応援してる人たちのことを思ってみろって。あともうちょっとのところだから。俺だってこのマイナス10度のところしじみが取れるって頑張ってんだよ。絶対やってみろ。必ず目標達成できる。だからこそネガティブだ。
Hold on, there's something potentially magical here.
なんとなく生きてんじゃないですか。迷ってんじゃないですか。生き生きさい。簡単ですよ。過去のことを思っちゃダメだよ。なんであんなことしたんだろうって怒りに変わってくるから。未来のことも思っちゃダメ。大丈夫かな。ああ、不安になってくるでしょ。ならば一生懸命一つのところに命をかける。そうだ。今ここを生きていけばみんな生き生きするぞ。
Wow! 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 Japan hero, Matsuoko Shuzo. Wow! I'm subscribing to all this shit. I'm subscribing to all the things. Oh, I'm not logged in over here. That is in Livestream Live. That is a, there's another good reason to join Discord. You'll get access to Livestream Live. Good find, Kiz. All right, hold on. I'm copying it. I got to dump that into Chrome where I'm actually signed in. I need to subscribe to everything. Morla AP. That's not really where it is, but oh man, that is just amazing. Oh, that is, I'm just subscribing to all the things. I don't care what it is. It's getting subscribed to. Oh, good find. Good find, my man. That is the magic right there of the Gangly Gang. Okay. Hold on. Getting caught up on chat. Mr. Huggy says, I've been having one of those days, been fighting fatigue all day, and now I'm wide awake at 12:30. Just ridiculous. Denzel the Terrible says, just tape the drone right side up on the scale, see how negative the number goes. I don't trust the negative readings on the scales. I would rather push down into it, and plus with turtle mode, I think it's going to work better. Charles Marseille says, spinning 4 same props gives 4 times more force on the scale, 4 values to average, so more precise. Very true. I think what we're going to find, though, which I already found on this rig, I think we're going to find that 1 or 2 of the either motors or ESC channels are going to be jacked up. We're going to isolate that by rotating motors. This is one of the first things that we're going to do. On each of these rigs, the first thing we're going to do is fire all 4 motors up and look at the numbers. And then if there's 1 or 2 that are significantly lower than the others, we're going to take all 4 motors off and we're going to rotate them. And then we're going to see where those values go. And if the values follow the motors, then the motors are the problem. If the values stay, then the ESC channel is the problem. Cool? That's important. That's an important thing to know in general, because that's a good way to troubleshoot on any rig if you're having a motor problem or if you're having an ESC channel problem. I have a feeling that most of you guys already know that little trick, but in case you don't, there you go. Ed K, no, we got that. Sample rate, response time. Denzel says, don't put it upside down. Tape it right side up to the scale. Just use negative number. We can average 4 numbers instead of turtle 1 to 2 motors. I'm going to turtle mode only 1 motor at a time. Kiz Bartlett says, test them back to back pretty much. And I can go back and put it into an Excel. Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to do the testing as back to back as possible. So Kiz, are you an Excel nerd? Can you dump these into Excel and make a cool little graphy boy? If not, is anybody? Also, you have to be willing to, after I do the testing, zap, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, you got to be willing to rewind the stream, watch it back in quarter speed, and write down the numbers as the scale changes, because the scale is gonna, the number is gonna increase, and then they're gonna back off because the motor is gonna saturate and the battery is gonna sag. I'm really interested to see how quickly that happens. I wonder if I'll be able to hammer it and have the number go up and then kind of flatten out for a second. That's what I'm really hoping for. I'm hoping that the number will spike and just give us maybe like a half a second of a steady number. That means the battery's not sagging, and that means the motor is not saturating. What I'm really hoping we don't get is like it spikes up and then immediately trails off. Yeah, that would be kind of annoying. I have a set of prototype motors from We Bleed FPV. Zotac was cool enough to send these over. These are 0802 20,000 kV motors. This is a low enough kV and a big enough stator that this motor, I'm hoping, will ramp up to a number and stay there for a second. So this motor is really going to help us out, because I have a funny feeling that we'll be able to tell this motor ramps up and stays, whereas these 30,000 kV motors, they're going to ramp up. I'm hoping they'll stay at least for a split second, but then they're going to come down a lot quicker. And that's what I'm hoping that an Excel ninja can show us with a little bit of a graph. And that's why I want whoever's going to do that to watch it in quarter speed, so that they can watch the numbers go up and then ramp down. Everybody still with me? Skate Freak 2828 says, question for as far as tuning goes, your video Ultimate 65 Tinywhoop 4.3 Beta FPV Q&A, would that tune work for a stock Mobula 7 ELRS? So Skate Freak, tuning is no longer like an issue. The sliders do all of the work now for tuning. Here's how you tune in 2022 and pretty much forever now. You build the rig, you leave the completely stock tune, you fly the rig, you see how it is. If there's no problems with the rig, if it flies normal, maybe just fly and just leave it alone. If you want to chase the dragon and try to get the rig flying a little bit better, you just take the master multiplier and you move it from 1.0 to either 1.2. On a Tinywhoop, you can probably ramp it all the way up to like 1.4, and then you fly the rig again. You see if there's any weird shit going on. If you want to chase the dragon some more, you move it up to 1.8. At some point, you're going to arm the rig, and it's going to like, and it's going to be really pissed off. That means you've moved it too far. It's pretty obvious. When you start playing around with tuning yourself, you'll pretty quickly like figure this all out. But yeah, that's kind of it for tuning now. Like the master multiplier does all the work for you. The stock tune is usually pretty damn good. If it's not good enough, just move the number up. Maybe just move the number up anyway, because you're not going to hurt nothing. And at some point, you'll notice the rig starts acting really weird. That just means you've gone too far. Back it off. You're doing it step by step by step. So you step it up, and the rig is normal. You step it up again, it's normal. You step it up again, and it starts acting weird. You back it off, and it's normal again. Done. Right? So yeah, tuning is a joke now, which is really, really nice. And with Betaflight 4.3, the stock tune is more aggressive than it's ever been. So on most rigs, the stock tune is really damn good. And the shittier your tune is, the more you can beat on the rig. The farther you push that master multiplier, the more razor's edge the tune is going to be. So when you start bending props and banging up motors, the rig is going to start to act up, and you're going to have to start to back the tune down or replace the physical parts. So if you want to get the most flight time possible, leave the stock tune alone. I push the tune because I'm live streaming, and these streams are watched by 500-600 people per, and I want the rig to fly good for you guys. If you're not a live streamer with hundreds of people watching your flight footage, then what does it matter? And to be honest with you, the worse the tune, the harder you're going to have to work as a pilot and the better you're going to get as a pilot, because the worse the tune, the more it's going to show you when it's in prop wash. And that's a really good thing to know, because you want to fly around prop wash. You don't want to put the rig in prop wash. So yeah, there's a really strong argument for, if your flight footage is not being purchased by someone or you're not being paid to fly, that you should just kind of leave the tune alone, because you'll be able to beat your rigs harder. You'll be able to run shittier gear, and you'll be a better pilot. So there you go. There's my whole tuning spiel. Momo Slappy says props upside down instead of turtle mode is easier, right? The aerofoil is then used to full potential instead of backwards. If we weren't using turtle mode, you'd be right, but we're using turtle mode to get the PID loop out of the equation. CH3 says between Super B F4 has BMI 270 versus X12 Light AIO has ICM 2689 gyro versus Diamond F4 has MPU 6000 with 0702 26,000s, and I'm just going to read through the rest of that because it's making my brain hurt. Gemfan 1610. I don't see like a question or anything there. But I will say this, CH3. Happy Model has different versions of some of their AIOs that have different gyros. So, yeah. It's kind of annoying. Right now, let me show you guys how to tell. This is the only real way to tell what gyro you've got. You plug your rig into Betaflight. You go into the CLI, and I think it's status that you type. Let's see. Status, and yeah, it should be here somewhere. There it is. Gyro. MPU 6000. So let's try to let's actually check. So that's one of the Mobula. That's the black Mobula 6. Let's try the purple Mobula 6. One of these might have a BMI. I've actually been meaning to do this. All right, so this is the purple Mobula 6. This doesn't affect our testing in any way. I just want to know the answer to this. There you go. 20689. These are both Mobula 6 ELRSs. And they've got different gyros. Let's test everything. Let's test everything on the table. This is another Mobula 6 ELRS.
RSSI low. Telemetry recovered. Low battery.
And one, I bet you, if this has a BMI 270, I'm gonna scream. I hope it does. Come on, have a BMI 270. Nah, it's an MPU 6000. That's kind of annoying because this one that's plugged in right now, this is the one that has those weird ESC temperature issues. Here's the Super B AIO that comes with the Mobula 6 HDZero. Let's see what that has.
Telemetry recovered.
And again, I'm just typing status. Hey, there's a BMI 270. So we've got all the gyros on the table. There you go. I've even got the X12 from the Mobula 7 ELRS here. Because I still haven't shipped it to Athix because I'm the worst. Let's check this X12. MPU 6000. So we've got 3 MPU 6000s, an ICM, and BMI 270. The good gyros are the BMI 270 and the MPU 6000. The ICM gyro is not as good, although this purple rig flies totally fine. I can't tell a difference between this purple rig with the ICM and this all black one with the MPU 6000. So, but yeah, it's as we just saw. Unfortunately, Happy Model just sort of willy-nilly switches. Well, I will say this. They do they do mark the AIOs differently. Somewhere on each one of these AIOs, there's gonna be like version 1.2 and then version 1.1. I might even be able to see it. Hold on, real quick. So the purple one has the ICM gyro, and the markings are like below where the antenna is. This is the one, and then this black one has the MPU 6000. Yeah, there will be, their Happy Model does at least put a marking, they'll put like a version number. It won't, I don't think it says crazy B on it, but yeah, they do something, I think. I'm pretty sure it's below where the antenna and the camera are. And I just can't see it. Hold on, let me go pirate on it. Maybe I can sneak a little peek in there with a 5x loop. I'm pretty sure I've seen a little marking on them. Maybe not. Maybe I was imagining that. Pretty sure it's on there somewhere though. I mean, the gyro chip, you can read it off the gyro chip on the board. The gyros that are soldered to the AIOs do have the info on them. So, all right, let's keep going. Moving forward. Getting caught up on chat. Denzel, got that. Come on. YouTube scrolled me down. I'm scrolling back up. Casey Henderson says, funny you say that because I just figured out the battery connection on the certain battery I was using is not getting good connection, so that proves your point. Very cool. Flies great now. Awesome. License to Drive released as Universal T antenna mount. Check out License to Drive's channel on Thingiverse. It's amazing. Mr. Blue Sky says, hopped up. Happy holidays. Kiz Bartlett says, if you shared Shuzo Matsuoko, there are 6.5 minute videos. Quotes. That's awesome. EE Doc says, what if all the values are random every time? Gotta love hobby grade hardware. We'll see. They could be. They totally could be. There could be too many variables here. The motor could get too hot and saturate. The battery could sag too bad. Christ, even the ESC might, the FETs might not behave because they're going to heat up and down. We're going to see that in a minute. Kiz Bartlett says, I can screen cap the whole stream and put it into Premiere Pro. Then I can go frame by frame. Very cool, Kiz. Very, very, very cool. Mr. Blue Sky said, I'm hoping we can do it more live, though. I would love to do it like as a live thing where like you and or whoever else wants to posts at least the peak values. I at least want to try to get the peak values in the stream so that we can just kind of talk about it live. Mr. Blue Sky says, so for my Whoop build, do you recommend on FPV Know-It-All's site, should I just copy the tune from my stock Mobula 6? I think you should just run a completely stock tune, everything at 1.0, see how it flies. If it's not locked in enough, push that master multiplier up, and that's pretty much it. Skate Freak says, thank you. Also, can you explain how to find Throttle Mid and Throttle Expo? I heard they are not useful on Tinywhoops. Is that correct? I think they are the most useful of everything in the PID tab for Tinywhoops, to be honest. Especially Tinywhoops with high kV motors. Throttle Mid. So in the rates tab, there's Throttle Expo and there's Throttle Mid. Throttle Mid. So your normal throttle curve is this with no Throttle Expo. As you add throttle, it adds power. As you add Throttle Expo, I'm just going to show it to you guys. I can't bend my arm in the way that I need to bend my arm to show this to you. So I'm just going to show it to you in Betaflight. We have the technology in rate profile. Here's your throttle curve preview. When it's 0, it's flat. So as you add as you add throttle, it adds power. And see these numbers? They're 1-to-1. When I put my throttle at 75%, it gives the quad 75% throttle. When I put my throttle at 30%, it gives the quad 30%. If I add Throttle Expo of 0.3, which is typically what I run, as I add throttle, these numbers are going to be different. So my throttle stick is at 9%, but it's actually giving the quad 10 to 11% power. I think that's how it works. Doesn't really matter, but that's what's happening. So you see, it's an S curve. When I remove the 3, you can see it flattens out. We can go really drastic with it. So what this does is the throttle midpoint is actually even more important, because this is going to adjust where the actual flat part of this is. And the flat part of this is where you're going to get additional throttle resolution. And you want this flat part to be where your cruising throttle is. And we can move the flat part around with throttle mid. So it's 0.35 right now. If I move it up to 0.85, see the flat part is all the way up here. If you were cruising around all the time at 85% throttle, you would want to move your throttle mid up to 0.85. For me, it's 0.35. The way that you figure out your throttle midpoint is you go into your OSD and you add down here, throttle position. You turn on your throttle position and you put your throttle position in your OSD. You don't have to put it here, but this is where I choose to put it. And then what you do is you go flying around. You fly around the normal area that you normally fly around with a freshly charged battery. And then you record your DVR, and then you watch your DVR back. And you just try to figure out what is your most common throttle value when you're just flying around normally. You don't want to set it at your hover point, because you don't hover. You put the nose down and you fly forward all the time. So you want to go to your regular spot where you normally fly. You want to fly the way that you normally fly. You want to use all the same gear that you usually use. And you just want to figure out what that average number is. For me, that average number is 35%. Most of the time when I'm cruising around, specifically when I'm cruising low to the ground, because that's where I want the most throttle resolution, I'm usually at around 35% throttle. So now you've got your throttle midpoint. You know your normal cruising. And that's important, because your normal cruising altitude, that's where you don't want to be bouncing up and down. If you don't have enough throttle resolution, you will bounce up and down. Your elevation will constantly change, because you're going to add a tiny little bit of throttle and it's going to it's going to bounce up a little bit. By adding Throttle Expo and putting an S in that curve, that 35% point is going to be less sensitive. So instead of my moving the throttle 1/10 of a millimeter and the quad jumping up, it's going to make a smaller, it's going to send a smaller change to the quad. So that's how you do it. I could continue to explain it for another 10 minutes, but that's what you need to do. Set your throttle midpoint by what the most common cruising throttle percentage is, and then the Throttle Expo, that's a choice for you. You're gonna put in 0.2 Throttle Expo, fly it around, see how you like it. Put in 0.4 Throttle Expo, fly it around, see how you like it. Put in 0.6 Throttle Expo, fly it around, see how you like it. 0.6 is probably gonna be way too much. The best thing for you to test it is just to fly low to the ground, because when you're flying low to the ground, you can tell how your elevation is doing. You can tell how much you're bouncing up and down. You don't want that. You don't want to bounce up and down in your elevation. It just looks unprofessional. A very common thing for really good pilots is really good elevation control. That is one of the hardest things to do. It might be the hardest thing to do in FPV. Using that Throttle Expo will help that, because when you move the throttle a little bit, it won't jump you up in the air. It'll just move you up in the air a little bit. And the more Throttle Expo you add, the more sensitive that the more leeway you're going to have. The problem is it's going to hurt you on the top of the throttle throw and the bottom of the throttle throw. So you don't want to just add like full 1.0 Expo. That's going to be way too much. I find 0.3 Expo is about right. It's a good amount, but it's not too much. But you're going to be different. So the throttle midpoint, you're just going to set that. And then the expo amount, that's what you're going to experiment with. Cool? Great question, brother. It's you will not believe the difference in, well, if you have a Tinywhoop with really high kV, really powerful motors, you will not believe the difference. If you have like 20,000 kV motors, you'll still probably tell a difference, but it won't be as drastic. But these high kV motors, they really like pick up throttle quickly, and like we're flying inside. So like when we're flying low to the ground, we're trying to change our altitude by like a half an inch, and that's like nothing. So it's really important to use that Throttle Expo on Tinywhoops. If you care about being able to control your altitude. If you don't care about that and it's all for fun, then it doesn't really matter. But yeah, play around with it. It's easy to mess around with, and you can always just zero it out if you get confused, and you'll be good. Ed K says, okay, this then props flipped over, then use turtle mode, but set the drone on the scale upside down. I don't think I want to set the drone on the scale upside down, because it's gonna be rocking around, and it's gonna really affect the results. Setting it right side up, every single motor is gonna be the exact same distance from the bottom. So yeah, that's gonna be a much more controlled situation than having it upside down, kind of flopping around, spilling thrust sideways. So yeah, we're definitely putting it right side up, and we're going to use turtle mode. Spent like a half an hour thinking about how to do this in the shower today. Was that today? That might have been yesterday. Michael DFPV says X12 V2.1 has BMI 270. Very cool. I might get another X12. Maybe. Hey, by the way, huge shout out to PhatPastor. He put a great HDZero whoop roundup video up on his YouTube channel. I'm dropping the link in the chat right now. Definitely check it out. He thinks that one of the problems with the filtering on the HDZero whoops is that the HDZero VTX is putting out a bunch of electrical noise, because he had HDZero on a 3 or 5 inch rig that had a GPS on it, and the GPS was having a real struggle of a time. I think he's right, and that's super interesting. I'm gonna test that claim now that this Super B AIO has shit the bed. I think I'm going to grab another one of these full-size Mobula 6 ELRS AIOs and put it in here. They are a known quantity. I know that I can get the filtering turned down, and I know I can get the PIDs turned up on them. If I can't get that, yeah. So it's a known quantity. If I put it in here and there's still weird tuning and filtering issues, then that kind of confirms it. But I'm pretty sure he's right. I'm like 99% sure he's right. Super interesting. Great video with a lot of really good info, and either 4 or 5 different HDZero builds. Really good stuff. And he's just an awesome dude, so, you know, give him a subscribe regardless. Where was I? Here we go. Denzel the Terrible says, you need a whiteboard? I have one. I have an $80 whiteboard. It's not hung up yet, but Denzel says, sure, you were thinking in the shower for half an hour, right? That's how sad I am, actually, when I'm in the shower. FPV is literally what I'm thinking about most of the time. Ethan W said, well, that's actually not sad. It's that, never mind. Ethan W says, bro, I just struggled for like 3 hours to waterproof my stupid Tinywhoop. That's why I don't waterproof. It just seems like such a pain in the ass. All right, so I'm caught up on chat. Let's dive into some Tinywhoop testing and see how repeatable some of this stuff is. First thing we're going to try to figure out is how repeatable is what we're doing here. If these numbers are too all over the place, then yeah, we're kind of screwed. But I have a feeling that we can learn some stuff here. I have a good feeling about this. So, let's get a quick. Let's take a quick look at the voltage on these batteries. 4.32, awesome. And then this is the one that I've been using, 4.11. Let's use this one first. This is 4.11 right now. I have a funny feeling that when the battery is completely charged, it's going to give us higher numbers, and I think we actually want to discharge the battery down a little bit to get more repeatable results. So I think this is going to be a better bet for us. So we're going to start here on a part. It is at 4.1. I mean, I was about to say per cell, but it only has one cell. First thing, let's check Tinywhoop 0702 30,000 kV motors versus WeBleedFPV 0702 28,500 kV motors. That's an awesome first test. First up is going to be the WeBleedFPV 0702 28,000 kV motors. I'm going to put the...
Inactivity.
Shut up! I just moved the thing, you jerk. I'm going to put the battery in the tray just so that it sits as flat as possible. We're going to put it down, and then we're going to turn the scale on so that it's zeroed out.
Low battery.
And let's see what's what here. All right, see. You guys can easily see the... Well, let's do this. Yeah, it's better. All right. We're going dark, friends. Cool. Turtle mode. Armed. And I'm going to go... hold on. Let me put the quad like that. No. I'm going to put the quad like this so that your guys' view of motor 1, 2, 3, and 4 is like what you're used to. Why is it different? What? Why? Why? Doesn't matter. Does the tear button not work? Tear button works. All right, so I'm going to go motor 1 first. Okay, so that's bottom right. That makes sense. And the motor 2. Okay, good. So here we go. Ready? Oh, man, it is slow to react. Jesus. Okay, this is going to be a little rough. Ooh, that number sits there for a while. I saw a 9.2, I think. Motor 2. 9.1. I think we can already see the motor starting to sag. Well, that's motor 4. Wait, no. Is that motor 3? Man, I'm already lost. Everything is upside down for me. Wait, so for you guys, this is motor 1. That's motor 2. That's motor 3. That's motor 4. Okay, all right, good. Now we're fine. I think I just did motors 1 and 2. Here comes motor 3. 8.7 I saw. I'm really happy that the number is sitting solid like that. That's a really good sign. And here's motor 4. Wow, motor 4 is pushing hard. Oh, you son of a bitch. That's the battery on the scale going down. All right, so motor 2 was really weak, wasn't it? Is that what I was just seeing there? Motor 2 was a lot weaker. Unbelievable. Hold on. Let me put a fresh set of batteries in the scale. Oh man, I'm really happy that that those numbers are sitting solid like that. I was really worried that it was gonna, the motor was gonna spike up and then come down. It was gonna make it really hard to tell the actual amount of thrust that it's making. I guess it makes sense. It's not sagging the battery because it's only spinning one motor up at a time. I gotta be honest, I'm a little concerned that I would love to like fire this thing up and just leave it until it saturated the motor and dropped the thrust down. But I'm worried. This is putting just as much stress as ever on the MOSFETs. So I'm worried about cooking the ESC. So I don't think I'm gonna do that. I will play that game. You know where I'll play that game is on this rig where the AIO has already shit the bed. So yeah, on this rig we'll fire up a motor and we'll just let it sit and we'll watch how long. Can't use the motors tab, Dan. I won't be able to leave it plugged in and be on the scale at the same time. And it'll throw the weight measurement off because it'll have the weight of the cable, blah, 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 blah. All right. So that was a battery that was at 4.1. Let's check where the battery's at now. Eight-Bit says, how do you have the radio set up to operate each motor independently? Turtle mode. Now the battery is at 3.96. That's not bad. That's not too big of a reduction. Let's do this. Let's retest it and see how close the numbers are. Cool? Kiz, you got a bunch of those numbers, right? Thank you for doing this, by the way. Thank you for
Low battery.
for being willing to do that, Kiz. It's very cool of you. Okay. If I put the light up here, you guys will still be able to see the... oh, no, hold on. Okay. There we go. All right, cool. So... all right. Good. All right. Let's repeat the test. Turtle mode. Motor 1. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I gotta tear it out. Oh, nope, now it's good. Motor 1. Man, it feels destructive to do this. Motor, come on, scale. Come on, scale. Motor 2. Man, that's right there. Motor 3. Motor 3 is hurting. Or the battery's hurting. Motor 4. Well, hold on. Let's let the scale chill out. The scale's not loving life. Motor 4. Motor 4 is higher again. I think those numbers... I'm worried about this. I need to secure the Tinywhoop down directly to the plate. I can't have it moving around the way that it is. So I bet you I can use some of this thermal putty to hold it down. Let's figure this out. Danzilla's Helper says, oh, the magnets in the motors are throwing it off. What? No, right now I took this plastic plate off. I think it's being thrown off because it's moving around, and then the like for example, right? If I have it all the way over here, it's pushing down on this side of the scale. And then if I move it towards the center, it's probably going to register higher. Yeah. Yeah, so when it's off to the side, it's just not pushing the pressure sensor down perfectly even, is what I believe is happening here. All right, so Kiz has motor 1, 9.2 to 9.1, motor 2, 9.1 to 9.0. Is that from the first test to the second test, Kiz? I hope so, because that is some good-looking data right there. Motor 3, 8.4, 8.3. Motor 4, 9.7, 9.7. I think it is. Ooh, yeah. Okay. That is from test. Wow. Okay, that is good, solid data right there. Awesome. This is fucking great. Okay, this is working better than I thought. So I got a big wad of this stuff. I'm not going to push it directly onto the scale pad because you never want to push hard on these scales. I'm going to push it hard onto this, and then we'll push the Tinywhoop down to this, and we'll see if we get. This will be a good test for the scale because I just added a bunch of weight to the scale. Let's see if we get repeatable numbers here, and let's also see if this thermal adhesive putty is strong enough to keep this thing from moving around. All right, here we go. One more time. Motor 1. Oh God. All right, that's obviously not gonna work. Okay. All right, how do we? Oh shit. Okay, how do I solve this? Okay, so what about grip? What about grip? If I put a little piece of grip on the scale, I won't have to push down very hard. Oh, somebody said the drawer liner material. Yeah. That might be it. That might be it. Here we go. All right, let's try that. So I would love to not use this plastic thing. So let's do this. Put this here, and we'll just drop it right down on top. Oh, that was great. I did not expect that at all. I was like, oh, this will definitely work. Okay. Drawer liner stuff. Wait, no, I want to go this way for you guys. Okay, drawer liner stuff. Ooh, I'm really happy that even with the battery voltage dropping, we're seeing the same numbers, and the motors aren't saturating right away. Okay, here we go. Motor 1. It's a lot lower of a number, but I'm fine with that. Motor 2. Wait, is this motor 2? Yeah. Motor 2. Motor 3. Are you kidding me? God damn it. Science can go to hell. Although this is barely science. Nah, okay. I was wondering if the battery was actually dead, or when I opened it up, the one battery was kind of sitting up on the contact. Hold on. These are Sanyo Eneloop rechargeable batteries, which they hold their charge for a long time, but I very rarely use AAAs. So these have been sitting in here for a long time. So they've just slowly discharged over time. Hang on. Come on, get in there. Man struggles. More ways than one. Alright, those 4 are now on the charger. I'm going to bring the other 4 that I have out. And so help me God, if 2 of these aren't charged enough to get us through this, I'm going to lose my mind. Oh, I'm so sorry, little guy. I left you plugged in. Little buddy.
Telemetry lost.
Oh, whoop gate tape. Hell yeah. Okay, here we go. This stuff seems to work perfectly. I love it. Let me do this, though. Let me cut this down a little bit so it's the size of the scale. I want to give the motors the most possible chance to blow, not just directly pull air, not directly up from a flat surface. So let me just cut this down. This piece of drawer liner has been a little bit too big for a while now, so this is a great excuse to just cut it down a little bit. All right, perfect. Little piece of drawer liner tape fitting on there, and that seems to hold it just right. Here we go. I think this is it. I think this is going to be the final proper setup here of this little test rig. That seems to work really well. You dirty whore.
Telemetry recovered. Low battery.
Is this real life? These batteries are so discharged it won't even turn on? Oh, you rat bastard, you. Hold on. God damn it. By the way, look at this thing. It's called Store. This is made by a company called Storacell. Really, really cool little AA and AAA battery holder things. They have little notches, and the battery slot right in there, and they just push them out from the bottom. Here we go. We got a good battery. We got a good set of batteries, I should say. Yeah, Storacell. Really nice. They make them in black. They make them in glow in the dark, actually. Most of the ones that I have are in glow in the dark. I have those from my airsoft days, actually. Okay, here we go again. Liner material. Plugged in quad. Sitting here plugged in. Not great. Tear it out. Okay, turtle mode engage. Motor 1. Motor 2. Motor 3. Motor 4. Is that left front for you guys? Left front. Yeah. All right, cool. Those are the new numbers. Without this, it's able to pull air up differently. Although this battery has also been kind of discharging. Now we're going to put a fresh... why does it say -0.3? Now it's zeros. I think my scale just kind of maybe blows. But, I mean, the numbers are relatively repeatable. Let's see where this battery is at, voltage-wise.
Telemetry lost.
3.72. Okay, so, yeah. This battery is done. Let's do that same test with a freshly charged battery. And this will be really nice. This will really show us how the battery voltage affects the thrust. In the middle of that battery, it was pretty dead on, and the battery voltage dropped what, like 0.2, 0.3 almost. Ready? Here we go. Motor 1. Oh, okay. Big difference. Motor 2. Motor 3. Look at it hitting 10 exactly. Motor 4. Okay. All right, so a fully charged battery is definitely making more than batteries that are all the way down at 3.7. So I need to... Do I have an extra BT 2.0 connector that I can hook up to the bench power supply? The battery voltage is having a pretty real effect. Well, there's those 4 numbers here. Let's really quickly try this. I'm just too curious. This is the Tinywhoop 0702 30,000 kV rig. I have to know. Here we go. These are higher kV motors, so this battery is a little bit worked from being spun up all four.
Low battery.
I'm going to try to get a bench power supply on this rig, but just for the sake of doing this really quickly, let's see. Motor 1. Oh, okay. Yep. That makes sense. Motor 2. Yep. Okay. Ooh, that one's weak. Motor 4. So there we go. More higher kV motors are making more power, as they should, even on a battery that's been dragged down a little bit. All right, but we need to get a bench power supply on this guy. Good Lord, it's 9 o'clock already. Go watch you some bot grinder, my friends. The last thing I'm going to do is to try to get a little bench supply going on this. I have a set of... Oh, this is going to be a real pain in the ass. So I think that we've figured all of the how to make your own thrust stand stuff out, which is a good sort of stopping place for this stream. This stream was not necessarily about testing the motors. This was about, you've got a free thrust stand, so you can do this shit yourself now. Next stream, we will more than likely dig into motor testing, propeller testing, stuff like that. I have a bunch of charged batteries. Let me fly around a little bit. And yeah, we've learned that doing this testing with the batteries themselves, it's not the end of the world, but you gotta pay attention. You gotta keep reading the batteries, and I think what you want to do is pull the battery down from what we just did. It looks like you want to pull the battery down to like 4.1 and then run your testing with the battery between 4.1 and either 3.9 or 3.8. From 4.1 to 3.9 is where we had very repeatable numbers. Once it got down to 3.7, it was definitely starting to lose a little bit of power. But yeah, 4.1 to 3.9, that looks like that was pretty damn good. Let me hit chat real quick. Kiz Bartlett says, you need some of them grips you send to prize winners. Athix says, yo. Ed K says, you could let's check, I just have to know. Let's check props upside down versus props right side up. This is an easy thing. We're going to do it back to back. We're going to do it on motor 1. I think we were just using this battery. Flat side away. And all right, motor 1, I'm just going to spin it up real quick. We'll get the peak number, and then I'll flip the prop upside down, and we'll see. Ready? Wait, no, we got to tear it out. Okay. Motor 1. Is that one? 9.7. Flip it. This really doesn't matter, but it's just interesting. I can't possibly imagine it won't make more power right now. Okay. Let's go. What is it? That one? Which one is it? This one? This one. Ready? Oh, you can hear it. Whoa, wait, what? Was that like double? Holy hell! That is a huge difference. Am I seeing that right? Yo! Hold on, we need to retest that. I'm flipping it back upside down. I mean... I was pretty sure it would make a difference, but... Good Lord! That's one hell of a difference. I think that was more than double, wasn't it? Didn't that just go from like 9 to 25? Maybe we do need to test these with the props upside down so that they're spinning the correct way in turtle mode. Ready? Wait, that's the wrong. No, that's the right one. Wow. Okay, so we're gonna have to do the testing. All right, so there we go. That's another really important data point. What's nice about that with the prop upside down, but it's actually right side up because we're spinning it backwards, is that nice higher number is going to be much more sensitive, right? Like 25 versus 24 is much better than 10 versus 9. Ooh, that's cool. All right, so there we go. Now I think we've tested all the things that we really need to test to have as accurate as possible of a thrust stand for like $10. This is like a $10 scale. This is actually a scale that came for free, I think, with a an FPV crate. Ed K's full comment, though, is, could you flip the props over, then switch them left to right? Oh, you know what we didn't check? We didn't rotate the motors, but that's just a per rig thing to see if... and we're already starting to see that. We're starting to see certain... Motor 2, what was it on this rig? Motor 2 was noticeably less thrust. So our next step would be to take all 4 motors off and rotate them, and then see if the weak motor becomes motor 4 or motor 1, and then we know if it's a motor that's weak or if it's an ESC channel that's weak. We already talked about that, though. Ed K says, could you flip the props over, then switch them left to right, props in to props out, then would turtle mode push down while spinning the props in their correct direction? I'm not sure, but you don't have to do that. You just have to take the prop and flip it upside down, and then you're good to go, like we just did. Athix says, talk to some guys with a camera car chase today. Driver just started FPV. Very cool. Jason Crabtree says, are you just comparing like motors? If not, then the prop spinning backwards might really make a big difference in thrust. Dead on the money, Jason. I didn't think you... I'll bet that you didn't think it would make that big of a difference, though. I certainly didn't. Zotex says, use some Whoopgate tape. YouTube just did the thing. Yeah, there's a product on WeBleed FPV called Whoopgate tape. Whoopgate tape. It's a reusable, clear, like gel-based double-sided tape. Jason Crabtree says, I know your anti-bench power supply, but Jesus Christ, you have dead batteries every stream, although at least this time it's not the goggles, it's true. Jesse Garcia says, I play with some Arduinos, and most scales use a load cell. The MCU samples across the load cell a few hundred to a few thousand times and averages the results before going to display. That's pretty cool. I love that. In a couple of weeks, might try to make an open source AliExpress thrust stand for whoops. Very cool. Ethan W says, to change the motor direction, do you have to be on the newest version of Betaflight? I forget. It's either the remapping or it's the motor direction. It just won't be there though. If you're not on the version of Betaflight that does it, you just won't have the option. Cole Power says, you can hear the disk loading bringing the RPM down. I don't think that's the proper way of using disk loading. Disk loading is the ratio of we're not going to get into that. It's bot grinder time. But you could certainly, yeah, it's wild the difference in sound, but with the props upside down versus right side up. Brandon's Baked Beans says remapping and direction is 4.3 only, but one of them is in 4.2. I think it's direction. Whatever. It's either there or it's not. So it's easy to know. CiottiFPV.com if you want to see this kind of shit keep going. Thumbs up, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thanks for hanging out, friends. Next time, I will have a BT 2.0 lead set up with the Toolkit RC adjustable power supply. And we'll just set it at like 4 volts. So it'll have a constant 4 volt power supply. And I'm not going to set it at 4.3 because that's just putting stress on the FETs for no reason. We're not looking for... Well, so we got as close to a max number. Ooh, this is actually kind of cool. What did we see? What was that big number we saw? 23? Did anybody catch it? Was it 23 or was it 25? So that was on a that was on a Weebleed 25.7. Thank you, Kiz. So hey, we've got a power to weight ratio. So 100 gram, all four of the motors in theory would be roughly that same. So that's 100 grams of thrust, and this rig weighs all up. This rig weighs 28 grams. So 28 grams of Tinywhoop, 100 grams of thrust. It was a fairly fully charged battery. Wow. That's a less than 4-to-1 power to weight ratio. Makes sense because we're flying these in the house where all the distances are small. When we fly these outside and we go full throttle, it takes them a half an hour to get above a tree height. I would still think that they had a better power to weight ratio than 4-to-1 though. It's actually less than 4-to-1. It's probably like 3.8, 3.7 to 1. Interesting. And this is a really powerful Tinywhoop. Like, you guys have seen this railing around the house. Like, this is nuts. I'll be damned. And motor 1 was one of the motors that was making good power. Motor 2 was the one that was down on power. So some shocking data tonight, I gotta be honest. Cool. Thanks for hanging, friends. Go get you some bot grinder. I'm gonna go to sleep. I feel like... Oh, no! I plugged in the VRX. Hold on. Wait one more minute. Hold on. I got a whole bunch of charged batteries. I gotta fly at least one of them. I'm gonna fly the rest of them on my time, but let me at least give you guys a minute of freestyle. It wouldn't be a Whoop-related stream if we didn't rail around the house a little bit. Plus, I got the... we got to turn HDZero off and turn the VRX on. And I got to re-link it. Come on. There it is. Okay. And here we go. I also have a bunch of gates set up, so I don't want to have set them up for nothing. So yeah, here's the purple rig with the shittier gyro and the 30,000 kV motors. And hey, we confirmed that the 30,000 kV Tinywhoop 0702s, which you can't get, do make a little bit more power than the Weebleed FPV 28,500s. Which is actually a good thing, because that means that yeah, they're not skimping out on the on enough things to make a higher kV motor make less power. We always want a higher kV motor to make more power, because otherwise it's just a nightmare. Okay, everything's working. Yeah, if higher kV motors are not making more power, then like, how do you buy motors? You gotta buy motors by looking at like impossible specs, and it's really good that we didn't have a situation. What I'll be really interested to see though is when we put tri-blades on these 0702s. With tri-blades, we might see the higher kV motors make less power, because they might get into a situation where they're overpropped. All right, let me get dialed in here. Let's fly smooth for a minute. Oh, I almost got it. Let's fly like ass, he said. Nope, that ain't it. Here we go, maximum concentration face. That was weird. That was awkward.
20 seconds.
Ay. Worst racer in the world. So this is the rig with the shitty gyro, the ICM gyro. And it's completely fine. I got the PIDs all cranked up. So that ICM gyro is not the end of the world. I mean, it's not as good as the BMI 270 and the MPU 6000 in black box, which is kind of all that matters, but it's not terrible.
9,
Let's go harass the family.
7,
Oh,
6,
that was a big uncommanded
5,
sort of ESC dropout.
3, 2,
Ooh, the big dive.
timer 1 up.
Easy, easy transmitter. You'll be fine. Man, it is really disorienting when I stall it just right inverted upwards with the ceiling. Ah, I fell out of it. Oh no! Ooh, quick decision. Oh, I didn't even make it off the stairs. I tried to do that little, my new little move with the stairs. Uh-oh. Come on. There we go. Here's my new move. It's over. Into a big, ugly power loop. Into the world's ugliest power loop. Down we come. Woo! Oh no! I will hit that coffee table power loop one day. I'm thinking about turning crash prevention off. Like, it turns on. I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong, but there's times where it turns on where I'm like, oh no, I don't want you to be on. Ah. This is going to be the hardest power loop in the land. Actually, this one will be even harder. It'll be hard to get it, like, smooth and not just cheat it. You can always just cheat a power loop, but who wants that? One more real quick. Bannister Post with a $6.99 Californian Canadian dollar super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, for the other day, thanks again for going down the motor rabbit hole. Appreciate it. My pleasure, my man. All right, super quick. Nobody should be here. You should all be watching Bot Grinder. This is his time slot. But I gotta try that. Oh man, I forgot to do a mailbag too. My parents got me all kinds of cool stuff. Okay. Oh, I mean, that was kind of cheating it a little bit, but not really. That would have been all right. I would have been okay with that one. I would have called that one a proper power loop. Oh God! I threw it real far back on that one. Uh-oh. 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 Can I make it out? Can I make it out? I can. Ah! In the face. Oh. Yeah, I mean, see, like, that little, like, that hesitation, like, at that point, it's not even a power loop to me. Oh, God! Oh, no! No. Oh! Almost. The coffee table is just, it's so low. Like, the gap underneath the coffee table is, it's gotta be like 6 inches. That's what she said. It might be less than that. It's really shallow. And there it is! I mean, sorta. That's not clean enough. That's not clean enough. That's, I mean, that's a consolation prize on that one. Makes me feel good, though. It's absolutely doable. Oh! That was pretty fucking clean. That was pretty clean. That's, I mean, it's on you. I will let you guys be the judge of that, but that was pretty seamless. Oh God, what if I can get it like really tight? I mean, that's gonna be the next level of it, is getting it like where I skim the top of the thing. Oh man, that was pretty clean. Damn. Purple Rig is getting the job done tonight. Ah. The problem, like, so the problem with doing it like a really clean power loop where you jam on the throttle as you're coming down is that's going to generate a whole bunch of like ground speed that I'm going to have to get rid of because there's a couch on the other side of the damn thing. Like, that's one of the more challenging things about it as a power loop is that, like, I have to try to avoid the couch when I get through there. See what I mean? Like, that couch is right there. It doesn't really let me, like... What makes power loops easier is when you can fly a little too far out the back and then throw it like that. Oh man, I'm gonna have to do this power loop the other way too at some point, aren't I? I'm gonna have to do it this direction. And try to come down between the couch and the damn thing. That'll be impossible. Oh, good. Easy. Come on now. Battery's feeling a little soft. Oh. Ah! Goggles are all fogged up. I should actually clear out the middle of the coffee table. And then try to, like, incorporate that into it. Oh, yuck. Alright, enough of that. We hit it somewhat clean. Okay. Why? Why? Why do you do this to me? See, so that time crash prevention really helped. All right, friends. Thanks for hanging. Shit. Zotex says, thanks, brother. It was very informative. Kudos until next time. What do you guys think? Was that it? Was that a proper power loop? Cole Power says, I think you should enable 3D mode so we can power loop use negative thrust to stay in the air. Oof. I've always kind of wanted to play around with 3D mode, but man, now that I see that the thrust is almost like 1/3, woo boy, might not even have enough thrust to do anything. Certainly slow the descent though. Love you guys. Be good. Here's some God knows what this is going to be. It's some flying. It's some frying with some epidemic sounds. I'll see you guys Sunday at 3. Later! CiottiFPV.com or I'll die. Hey! Black hole's on. There we go.
Bye.